I'm back again. This time it wasn't as long as a break as the last one, but yeah. First let me explain why I didn't upload about this whole trade deadline thing earlier. Thursday, the deadline day pretty much, I went skiing. The Friday after that, or like the next day on the Friday, I was busy. Saturday, I recorded a bunch of main channel videos. Sunday, I was busy. And I originally did record a video, but it didn't save, and that's when the frustration video came, the one that you guys got, and and then ever since then, I've been just taking a little quick break from YouTube. But now I'm back, and ready to talk about all this stuff. So, like the video, subscribe, and here we go. First of all, let's start with the big one. Let's start talking about the big one. I haven't recorded in a while, so I might be a bit rusty. James Harden for Ben Simmons. The full trade is James Harden and Paul Millsap are getting sent to the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and I think a second or first round pick. Yeah, that happened. And since the trade happened, Seth Curry and Drummond both had their debuts with the team. For the Sixers, I don't think Paul Millsap or Harden has played yet. Harden did ring the bell, and that was kind of funny. But yeah, Harden looks happy, man. Not gonna lie, and so does Simmons. Harden and Simmons both look happy. This trade actually worked for both teams, because especially chemistry-wise, I don't know how it's worked on the court-wise, but like chemistry-wise, this trade has definitely worked for both teams. Both teams benefited. Ben Simmons wasn't working in Philadelphia. He had the whole drama, and now he's been wanting out for the past who knows how many months, and now he's getting sent to a contending team where it can actually help a team win. So that's pretty good for Ben Simmons. And for James Harden, he said he originally wanted to go to the Sixers. That was his first choice over the Nets, and the Nets' big three surprisingly did not work out. They broke down, and now it's a big 2.5. So it didn't work out, and everybody thought this team was going to be amazing, but they weren't. So maybe this is the end of super teams. This gives the Sixers a real chance to make a conference finals appearance now that they have James Harden, and James Harden's pretty good at basketball and he actually plays games. The Nets still have a chance to make the conference finals, but right now they're the 8 seed, which is very interesting. And when Simmons comes back, maybe he changes that, but right now it's not looking good for them. Hopefully they pick it up, and hopefully they make a top 6 seed, but at the same time I do kind of want the Raptors to steal that 6 seed so they don't have to play in the play-in. But then again, if the Raptors got the A seed and faced the Heat in the first round, I wouldn't even be that mad, because the Raptors versus Heat would be an amazing playoff series. But anyways, we're not talking about the Raptors right now. We'll get to them later. We're talking about Nets and the Sixers. The Nets, how do the Nets benefit from this trade? They did trade away a I'd say top 10, some people say top 20. You could say whatever you want, but he's a really good player in the NBA. You could say that for sure. They traded away James Harden for Ben Simmons, who is significantly worse than James Harden. I don't think we have to argue about that. And yeah, it is kind of bad, but you did also get back Seth Curry, who's a good shooter. Andre Drummond, who's decent on defense, can come off the bench and give in good minutes and gets a lot of rebounds. And of course Ben Simmons, although he hasn't played in like a year, no, not a year, maybe like 10 months, he hasn't played in a while, but hopefully he's not of course he's gonna be rusty. He's still Ben Simmons. He's still a great playmaker, like top 3 defender at his best. Like, it's really, last year, if you remember, Defensive Player of the Year things, it was him, Rudy, and Giannis. And, so, Ben Simmons can help this Nets team. That's what I'm trying to say. Ben Simmons definitely helps this Nets team. So I give them a trade grade, considering what they gave up and what they got back, probably an A, because it worked out for them Their locker room is happier, according to Bruce Brown at least. Ben Simmons is actually gonna play, and they got 2 other good pieces in the trade. So, yeah, I'll give them the A for this trade. Moving on to the Sixers, they got back James Harden and Paul Millsap, and the Sixers are trying to win, especially while Joel Embiid has been going off. He's top 2 in MVP conversations. He just switches between first and second with Jokic, and Harden is hopefully gonna help them win more games and actually have a chance at contending. So it's a really W trade. It's a W trade for the Sixers, and they did this without giving up Tyrese, without giving up Matisse Thybulle, without giving up Shake Milton. All they had to give up was Seth Curry and Andre Drummond. They didn't have to give up any of their young pieces. They did have to give up a pick, but that's it. So, and I mean young pieces other than Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons, you had to give him up. You're not going to get that trade done without Ben Simmons. You literally had to trade Joel Embiid for James Harden if you weren't using Ben Simmons. But yeah, honestly, the Sixers came out with the W, so I'd have to give them an A+ for this one. Although they did lose Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, who were putting in good minutes for them, I think that the Sixers are definitely benefiting from this. They're getting the most out of Embiid's prime, and James Harden can help them win a championship, maybe. Who knows? Hopefully. Because this Sixers team's had a lot of potential for the past years, and the most it's gotten them is a first seed and a semifinals appearance. 2 disappointing semifinals losses, actually. So hopefully they can win. At the same time, I'm biased for my Raptors, but still, as a Raptors fan, I want the Raptors to win. But as a NBA fan, non-biased NBA fan, I'd say go Sixers. Now, moving on. The other important trade that happened, Wizards Mavericks. The Wizards traded Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans for Kristaps Porzingis. This one really came out of nowhere. There were rumors about Kristaps getting traded a few months ago, and everybody just blew it off eventually, and now this just out of nowhere. This was literally like the last few minutes of the trade deadline. I know for sure it was in the last hour of the trade deadline, but yeah, this one was unexpected, to be honest. And the thing is, this trade doesn't really make sense, because, I mean, the Mavericks traded away their second best player, the only other quote-unquote star on their team, for 2 guys who have been pretty disappointing this year on big contracts. Spencer Dinwiddie has a big contract, and he hasn't been the Spencer Dinwiddie that we know and love. And Davis Bertans has a big contract, and he's been absolutely dude water, like dog water, dookie water, whatever water you want to call it, as long as it's not clean water, because he has been trash. So I don't know where this makes sense for the Mavericks, and especially since they have Luka and Jaylen Brunson already as their guards. So why would they need another guard in Spencer Dinwiddie? Maybe as a backup? I don't know, but it just doesn't make much sense. And most of all, Luka is now alone in Dallas. And if he single-handedly carries this team to the second round, I'd be amazed. Luka would be locked in to be right outside the top 5. Because he's still not under in my top 5, but he'd be right outside the top 5. But yeah, Luka, he has to put on a whole a whole 300-pound backpack. How much is the weight of a bunch of NBA? My point is, he's gonna be having to put on a huge backpack. I was trying to add up all the pounds of the players, but it didn't make sense. He's gonna have to put on a huge backpack to carry this team any farther than the first round exit. So, good luck, Luka. Moving on. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to give them a trade grade for this. I didn't even talk about the Wizards side of this. For the Wizards, honestly, this is a W trade. They got Kristaps back for 2 guys who were disappointing this year, and they also got a pick back as well. They got a really good player who's the best player in this trade and a pick. How did the Wizards finesse that? I don't know. And now the Wizards are looking scary. They traded away Montrezl Harrell, which is, but they're still looking really scary. They got Not Spencer Dinwiddie anymore. I don't know who they finna have starting at point guard. That's the only concern I have with them. If the Wizards signed Goran Dragic, that would be crazy. If that was the case, then they'd have Dragic, Bradley Beal, Denny Avdija, Kyle Kuzma, and Kristaps. And honestly, that is a pretty good lineup. Maybe enough for a playoff appearance when all healthy. Because Kuzma isn't having a great year. Denny Avdija has been playing great defense. And Goran Dragic is still a nice veteran point guard who could play on your team. The only other point guard I think they have there right now is Raul Neto, and I don't really trust Raul Neto to be a starting point guard of a decent team. So, yeah, they should sign Goran Dragic, considering he was bought out by the Spurs a few days ago. They should sign him. Moving on, trade grades. For the Mavericks, I'd probably give this a C-, because it doesn't make sense. It's not terrible trade. Like, Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis can still, like, turn up and have better years, but it doesn't really make much sense. And the fact that they gave a pick with it too makes it even worse. It just doesn't make sense. And then for the Wizards, I think I'm gonna give it a solid B+. A solid B+. Maybe an A-. It's between a B+ and an A-, somewhere in that little range, right there. That's what I give this trade, because they got a good piece in Kristaps who can help them win games, and they got a pick out of it. And all I had to give was 2 disappointing players this season. And honestly, that's a W for the Wizards. So, yeah. The Wizards definitely won the trade. Moving on to now the smaller trades that I haven't talked about yet. Marvin Bagley to the Pistons. Marvin Bagley, he's been talked about for getting traded for a pretty long time. I remember him and Buddy Hield were in trade talks, and both of them got shipped away this trade deadline in separate trades though. Bagley to the Pistons. He now joins that young core with Cade, Sadiq, Isaiah Stewart, Saban Lee, Killian Hayes, and then I guess Jeremy Grant, even though Jeremy Grant's like 27, 28, but yeah, they got a nice little team over there in Detroit. Not a good team, but a nice team. It's a good rebuilding team. Like, it's a good team that you'd want to rebuild with. That's the type of team that they got over there right now. And I think this is a pretty good trade for the Pistons. There's a lot more. It's like a 4-team trade. Not going to go through the whole specifics of the trade. The Kings got back Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Jackson, though, and also some other guy. I forgot who it was. But the Kings are trying to make a play-in appearance, and when it comes to winning, Dante DiVincenzo can help that. I don't know about Josh Jackson. I haven't seen him play in a while. Maybe he has been playing. I just have not seen him play in a while. Like, literally have not seen Josh Jackson. I haven't seen Josh Jackson on the NBA court. I haven't actually watched him play. So, I remember when he was a lottery pick. That's crazy now. Like, what happened to him, man? He was like a top 10 pick, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, what happened, man? A lot of the guys in that 2016 draft class ended up being kind of disappointing. But anyways, other than that, I think that's mainly it. Pistons, decent trade. Kings, I still don't know why they're doing this all for a play-in appearance, trading away their whole future. But sure, do what you want, Kings. Maybe they're just trying to get fans back in the seats. And even with those trades, right now they're like the 13 seed. They're behind the Blazers, Pelicans, and the Spurs right now. So, I don't know if it's gonna work, Sacramento. If you do all these trades and still end up being out of the play-in, just trade De'Aaron, trade Sabonis, trade everybody on your team, and do a full reset. By that time, your best player better be Harrison Barnes. Actually, he has a good contract. Terrence Davis. But yeah, if the Kings don't make the play-in, then that'd be terrible, considering all the risky deals that they made this trade deadline. So, you know, moving on. Raptors traded Goran Dragic, a guy who I talked about before, to the Spurs for Thaddeus Young. W trade for the Raptors. The Spurs just wanted to dump off Thaddeus Young. It's just two teams wanted to dump off their veterans, but two teams use them in different ways. The Spurs buy out Dragic, and now he's in free agency. And the Raptors are now using Thaddeus Young, and he actually looks like a decent piece so far. He could actually help the team win games, maybe get a nice little playoff appearance, maybe a second round appearance, I don't know, but it looks like the second round is going to consist of one of the 5 teams, maybe even one of the 4 teams. It's probably going to be Sixers, the Nets, the Bucks, the Bulls, or the Heat. Wait, did I say 5 teams? Yeah, one of those 5 teams isn't going to make the second round, and that's really weird. I have a feeling it's going to end up being the Nets, but at the same time, I have a feeling they're going to pull off an upset in the first round. I don't know, man. I don't know how it's going to go. It's going to be interesting, though. But what was I talking about? Raptors. Raptors got Thaddeus Young. Nice piece. He could help them win a few games. A-. Spurs get Goran Dragic. They don't even need him, but they release him, and they weren't using Thaddeus Young anyway, so they didn't really give up much. They did give up Drew Eubanks, so I guess that's something, but I mean, it's not really a bad trade. It's not like they're tanking anyway, so they don't even need to do anything right now. They could have just left it the way it was, but they decided to give the Raptors a nice little veteran big man. So hey, we'll take it. Spurs, I'll give you like a B, because it didn't really change anything. So yeah, that's it for that trade. The Raptors probably won it, but the Spurs weren't trying to win it. So at the end of the day, the Spurs are rebuilding. So you can't really get mad at the decisions they made so far. Bol to the Magic. That's it for a second round pick. Bol could develop in Orlando. That's all I have to say about this trade. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Oh yes, I also got Montrezl Harrell. Yes, okay, now I remember. Montrezl Harrell got traded to the Hornets. I don't know what he got traded for exactly. It might have been McDaniels or Martin. Either Cody Martin, or no, Caleb Martin or McDaniels. It was somebody. But yeah, the Hornets have needed a center for a while now. They've been running PJ Washington at center, and although he can play center, he's not really a real center. And so yeah, I don't even know what I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what the Hornets, what the Wizards got back, but it doesn't really matter because they got Kristaps Porzingis, so they don't even need Harrell anyways. So yeah, and they also got Daniel Gafford and Thomas Bryant. They really just did this because they had a bit of a logjam at center. They had like 4 really good centers who could be quality players on NBA teams. So they had to get rid of one of them. And they chose to get rid of Montrezl Harrell. So yeah. Yeah. Hornets it's a W trade. Wizards, since I forgot what they got back, I can't really say if it's a W trade or not. I'm gonna just say the Wizards have Kristaps, so it doesn't matter. The other trade, Jaylen Smith to the Pacers for Tory Craig. It was Tory Craig, right? Yeah. No, wait. Yeah. Jaylen Smith was a nice young piece. He was doing decent on the Suns this year, and now he's on the Pacers where he can develop and hopefully become a decent player in the future. Tory Craig, a winning player. Well, not really a winning player. He's a guy who could help your team play defense, I guess. Just do decent. And that's probably what the Suns are wanting right now, because they're the first seed and they're contending for a championship. And teams that are contending for championships usually like people who could help them win. So I guess this is a good trade for the Suns, and that's also a pretty good trade for the Pacers. So the Suns, I'll give them like a B+, and the Pacers, I'll give them an A-, because they get a nice young piece to pair with Tyrese Halliburton, Chris Duarte, Miles Turner, all these guys over in Indiana. I like what Indiana's been doing this trade deadline. They made a bunch of good moves, and yeah, they've all been W's so far. Or not so far. The trade deadline's over. They've all been W's. Moving on. Are there any other trades I really want to talk about? Not really, to be honest. That's mostly all of what I want to talk about. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all. So I think I can end the video here. I was going to talk about, originally in the video I firstly recorded, I was going to talk about the Raptors and the Celtics doing good. And I mean, they're still both doing good, but the Raptors went on a 2-game losing streak, and the Celtics just lost yesterday to, like, the Pistons. So, yeah, they're still doing good. They both passed the Nets in the East. So, yeah. Also, one thing to mention, the top 5 teams in the East right now are just shuffling around literally every day. Like, it's crazy because anybody could be the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth seed on any given day. And usually the first seed shifts between the Bulls and the Heat. The second seed shifts between the Cavs, Bulls, Heat, and Bucks. And then third seed, it's the same for, it's probably actually Cavs, Bucks, and probably like Bulls. And then 4 seed, Sixers, Bucks, Cavs, and 5th seed probably Sixers, Bucks, or maybe Sixers, Cavs. I don't know. My point is, it's just been shuffling around a lot, and that little area is really close so far in skill level and like how good the teams are. So I can't wait for the playoffs, man. I want to see the 4 versus 5 matchup, and whichever team faces up with the Nets. Those 2 series are going to be crazy because one of the teams is going to have to go. And out of these 6 teams, I think the 2 teams to go might end up being the Bulls and the Cavs. Because I know the Heat are playoff ready. I know the Nets are playoff ready. I know the Sixers are playoff ready. And I know the Bucks are playoff ready. I just don't know about the Bulls and the Cavs, because we haven't seen much from those teams in the playoffs. In the past few years, at least. The Heat, they just made the finals, like 2 years ago. The Bucks just won a championship. The Nets were in the conference semis, almost made the finals, but KD chose to wear some size 18s when he really needed the size 17s. And the Sixers were the first seed last year. And they were in the playoffs. And they traded Ben Simmons for James Harden. So, my point is, the Cavs and the Bulls are newer teams that have less playoff experience. And that gives them lower odds of making it to the second round. But you never know what can happen. The Bulls are still really good and the Cavs are still really good. So, yeah. On this Monday or this Sunday, it depends on which day I want to record. I'm going to be talking about the All-Star Weekend and everything that's going on with it, or everything that happened with it at that point. So, yeah, I'm ready for All-Star Weekend, man. The Celebrity Game is tomorrow, and the Rising Stars Challenge is also tomorrow, and then All-Star Weekend, the All-Star Saturday Night is going to be there. There's a new format for the Skills Challenge and the Rising Stars Challenge. Those 2 have new formats. So I'm ready to see all these events. I can't wait. And it's going to be fun, man. All-Star Weekend is usually fun. Last year was kind of dookie, but hopefully this year is better. Maybe, I'm pretty sure fans are going to be allowed in, so that'll be good. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Be ready for a video this Sunday or this Monday. And yeah, also be ready for main channel videos. If you like the main channel videos, be ready. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, share, comment down below any tips, tricks, or topics you have me to talk about on this video or on this channel. Why I say on this video? On this channel. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.